How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This is Alvin from Trying Success on the Old Fashioned Health Network, Good Health Inside and Out. And this is another Black History series that we're doing today with Let's Talk Nonprofit by Miss Brittany. And today our show is going to be about nonprofits and the benefits in the Black community. And Brittany is a nonprofit guru. Brittany, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yes, good morning. My name is Brittany Johnson, and I am the founder and creator and co-host of Let's Talk Nonprofit, and I'm also the founder and executive director of Restoring One's Hope of Atlanta, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that focuses on providing resources to the homeless in our communities, specifically in Atlanta metropolitan area. So we've been doing this since 2019. Alvin, you're so generous in calling me a guru, but I just been really just putting my boots to the pavement and really doing the work that I was called to do. And so here we are. And this has led me to start a nonprofit podcast called Let's Talk Nonprofit, because I feel like there's a lot of great organizations, minority organizations to be exact, that are doing the exact same thing, or maybe in different realms, and they're not receiving the same accolades or recognition that you will see other nonprofit organizations receive. So that's why we are taking the time out to really horn in on those nonprofit organizations and really shining a light on those.
Well, Brittany, I know you personally. You're doing a great job with your nonprofit. I like everything you're doing and how you're doing it, and all the benefits thereof, and what you provide. You're doing something this weekend, I believe, for the community as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're providing, this is our monthly initiative. We partner with Minority Vets, and the mission continues. And together we're called Hope United. And we Hope United Feed the Hungry, to be exact. And so what we do is on the first of the month, we provide 250 sack lunches to those that are in need. We provide them to shelters and those that are on the streets of Atlanta. So that's what we're gearing up for. And I'm really excited about this because it's our first one since since 2022, because we had to readjust and do something different because of the pandemic and the rise that has occurred.
You know, Atlanta has a major homeless problem, and like many other cities do as well. So it's not just Atlanta unique to it, I'm sure you know, but because I've seen in LA and other places, the homeless situation is pretty bad, you know, and have nonprofit organizations such as yourself is really, really important. But what I want to hone in on this Black History series, specifically, you being an African-American woman that is doing your thing, tell me, what do you see a need in our community more than you do maybe others?
I see a great need for housing opportunities for our population, or the population that we're serving, because that is, in order to deal with everything that comes about with becoming sustainable in society, one starts with the basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, right? So I believe that housing is one, because the housing market is gone up tremendously, and affordable housing is not so affordable for those that are living below poverty level, and also for those that are receiving benefits, that they're receiving disability, and disability is only $800 and maybe even less than that now, and it's not even meeting the mark for them to even be able to afford housing. So yes, they have based on income housing, but the waiting list is maybe a year or two out. And so you are having less and less chance for those that are need immediate assistance right now. They're having a harder time in receiving that. And so they're will result into shelters and transitional housing. And even that is beds are filling up relatively quickly. And so we just encourage the city, the state to employ more housing out there for the homeless, because it's a great need. And yes, you see buildings going up every single day, everywhere you turn. But what is there for? Are any of those allocated for the homeless? Are any of those allocated for those that are living below poverty level? Are any of those allocated for those that are for struggling families who are just barely meeting the mark, right? Who are barely able to pay rent, even with the little rent rent that they have to pay. So I think that is a huge need in the community right now, and along with mental health counselors in that profession to actually deal with the mental illness that that some of the homeless are facing. Because a lot of times, if you're homeless, you're 9 times out of 10, you're going to be faced with depression. You're going to be faced with stress. You're going to be faced with anxiety. You're going to be faced with a dual diagnosis of substance abuse because of you're trying to cope with your situation of being out on the streets all the time and having to deal with the ins and outs of just being having to survive in this doggy dog world. So it's just a lot of things that encompass with that, with the need for right now. And I feel like if you just really cover the basic needs, the other things will flow, like such as counseling, such as financial literacy, such as job readiness, and like you able to work with those, work with the homeless a little bit more if they are known they have one thing secure, which is housing.
Right. So do you find that in the African American community, as you know, it's a little harder for us to be able to receive, like for instance, with your nonprofit, do you feel that your nonprofit may not get a chance to get the same benefits of those that are not necessarily minority owned, minority driven, directed by other cultures, in other words?
Right. Absolutely. I get what you're saying. Absolutely. It's 10 times harder for us. We have to work 10 times harder, maybe even 20 times harder just to even receive the recognition of the work that we're doing. And I believe that it's all about relationships and really knowing how to get your footing in the door. And so it's like we have to work our way to that point. But some of these organizations are receiving funds because of their relationships with different organizations and having built that connection. And sometimes also about the tenure as well. So a lot of nonprofit organizations, especially minority organizations, they're relatively fresh in the game. And so with that being said, it's like we have to work hard for like a good 7 years, I would say, in order for us to receive the accolades or to receive the benefit or to receive the grants and that we are striving to obtain, even in our 3rd or 4th year of operation, because they say the government says you have to wait 3 years or in order for you to technically receive the big grants, the grants that you're willing to acquire, right? So the $100,000 grants and things of that nature. So I'm hearing people getting praised about receiving $10,000 grants and $20,000 grants. I'm like, well, I'm trying to get to the level where we receive $1 million grants. I'm trying to get the $2 million grants. I'm not trying to get this just chomp change, which is good. And I also understand the humble beginnings of that. So we have to start somewhere, but it's just the mere fact that it's harder for us to even get to that level. And you just have to know how to maneuver in order to really try to, I guess, get your footing in the door.
And I guess the other thing with being a minority-driven nonprofit organization is when you say build relationships, and building relationships sometimes for us is a little harder for just even the trust factor. People believing, like, I know it's an African-American community, an African-American-driven nonprofit organization. You'd be like, trust me, this is what we're trying to do. Because we had another nonprofit on here before Black History Month, and you may have heard him. He's in Chicago. He's the one that has the refrigerators outside, and people come get food for free. And just listen to his drive, you know, to try to get people to say, give us a donation. We're trying to do this, and we're trying to do it. Because, you know, it's always, as you say, 10 times harder for us when we're trying to do something. And the fact that you're trying to feed our community, and I know you're not just trying to feed our community at large only, but I know you try to feed everybody. You don't discriminate saying who you're not going to give a bag to. But basically what we're just saying is give us the same, give Brittany's nonprofit organization, Coca-Cola, y'all come on out and donate money to others, you know? And so
Right, because it's like the operational cost is very scarce, and it's hard to really get to that level. And some of them come in the door with that money. We don't. You know, so it's like we have to work towards the level of success, and I believe that is a big gap. I would say, because in order for us to even, like, for, say for instance, GA Gives, right? In order for the bigger donations goes towards a well-known or organizations, right, as opposed to the ones that are still out here putting their boots to the pavement and really are grassroots organizations, should I say.
Right.
And we're working towards making sure that we're still feeding the community. We're still wanting to, employ the same operations that they're employing as well in a community. And so it's like, where do we get that same accolade, or where do we get that boost so that we are able to be on the same platform, the same level, so that we can get recognition of our organization, so that we are able to receive the same grants that they're receiving, so that our counterparts are receiving. So it's just those things that we are faced with, and we're working towards, building that. Building our own platform. So if that table is already set and there's not a seat for us at the table, how about I go over here and just make my own table, set my own table, so we're able to won't have to rely solely on the traditional way of receiving finances, right, or grants or funding for funding for organizations. So I'm looking at innovative ways to do that, like such as doing different fundraisers and looking to crowdfunding, looking to angel donors, so that we're not just sticking to or inside of the box. Like, we can color outside the lines, we can be outside the box, be unique, and that's what I feel like that's what we can do as a minority organization that can, strive for greater, is to think outside the box and do things different and out of the ordinary.
So a couple of things that I want you to do to show people, because a lot of time people, when it comes to donating money, especially if you're donating to, let's just say, to the African American community nonprofit organization, because of some of the stigmatisms about what will and would not be done. But let's just say someone gives you $20,000. I want people to understand the $20,000 just don't go on a ride for Brittany's car. You know what I'm saying? There, you have staff. Can you let them know? So, for instance, so let's just say you got $20,000 just right now. Tell them how that money would be broken down.
$20,000 right now. I will break that down as 30% will go towards overhead costs. Another 30% will go towards materials that we will need to serve. Another 30%. So we at 30. That's 90% of the funding right there. 30% will go towards staffing, and the other 10% will go towards savings and also just have a residual, so that we're able to not even go towards, heck, maybe even additional 20,000. Right. To put in to start the other one, because we still have to think about all the subscriptions that we have to subscribe to, all the back office work that we have to do, and everything. And it takes a lot to run an organization, and even have to apply for grants. Some of those grants cost money, and even to get a grant writer, that costs money. So hiring out or outsourcing anything that we need, that costs money. So I would allocate that 10% to that, so that we're able to continue to grow and acquire more funding for the organization. So that's how I would break down that $20,000.
I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate it, because a lot of people don't know, because they say, well, we gave them $100, but Brittany driving an Audi. It's like, that has nothing to do with Brittany. Has to have a salary.
No, so some of these organizations have a 9-to-5, or they're still working their regular jobs to fund their nonprofit, because guess what? It's a nonprofit. You sometimes don't profit off of your nonprofit. So hence nonprofit. So that's where the disconnect comes from, is that people don't realize that sometimes we're using our own funding for this. I have yet to get paid. I'm 3 years in the game. I have yet to get paid for the work that I've done, like a substantial amount of money, right? So, and that's not where my heart is. My heart is not to get paid. And that's a lot. And that's another thing too. We have to look at the heart posture of the leaders of this of the organizations, because if you're in it for money, or thinking that it's going to be a quick way to come up, you're misunderstood. Exactly. Like it's a misconception all around, because a nonprofit is just that. You really don't profit until maybe like 7 to 8 years out, because of the work that has to be done and the overhead ahead and to keep generating revenue for the organization so it can keep on thriving and you can keep on moving to the next level, reinvesting in your organization. That's what you're really doing with the money, that even leftover money that you're having. Because I know investing in trainings, investing in just research, right. Marketing is a big thing right now. So imagine the cost that you have to put forward in order for those things to happen. Because I can't be a digital marketer. I can't be an office manager. I can't be a spokesperson, right. Nor can I be the face or doing the actual work, doing inventory, going to store, purchasing items and things like that, and still try to
organization.
Exactly. So I just named at least probably 7 hats that I'll wear, or I'm literally chunking things off or delegating each hat piece by piece. I've already outsourced my marketing because I know that's an integral part of the organization, so that people can see the work that we're doing, so that we can in turn receive donations and funding, so that we can continue to grow and continue to strive. So that's the thing and it's a misconception. Like, money will come, but your heart posture has to be right
in order to survive the struggle.
Exactly.
And the other thing, so people can understand too. I think they get it mixed up, so they can better understand. So people can better understand. When you get a grant, then those grants will allocate you to have money for specific things. But just like you said, you all are not always able to get grants. You got to get a grant right in order to get this grant that says you have a budgeted amount for employees. You have a budgeted amount, because you know how some of those grants have line items of what you have to do. And then the other thing about it is, if you don't meet what the line items say, you could lose that grant the next year. So there's a lot of moving parts to have a nonprofit that you're doing, and you exactly, work, and a lot of stress on you as the.
It is, and sometimes these grant writers, I'm thinking about going to school to become a grant writer, because these grant writers, they can charge $3,000 just to write the grant, and that is not a guarantee that you're going to actually get the grant. That is just for them to put the budget together, to do the narrative, to put all the research that they need to go into the grant and word it the way that the grant needs to be worded in order for you to even have a chance at obtaining the grant or being awarded the grant. That is a market in itself. So just imagine what it all entails to even get to that point, to charge $3,000.
So, with all, and that's I want people to see all that you have to go through to do what you do. And specifically, the reason why I pick you to do this Black History series is because you're catering. You are an African American female that's trying to do this, and so therefore it's already harder for you because you're going against the grain. Because I'm an African American female, so it's a little harder. But sometimes it's stereotyped or believed that because you're African American female that you'll be able to get grants, that there are grants allocated for you. But you're also saying, there are grants allocated for me, but I don't have the $3,000 to pay to get it written.
Right. And then on top of it, so yes, there are funding resources out there for minority women, but guess what? The majority of there's a lot more women fund or driven nonprofits, and which makes the pool even more harder for us to maneuver through, or to fight. Like, we're like little fish in a pond trying to,
everybody trying to get after that.
Right. And we're trying to we're going after the same thing. So it's really hard for us to even do this. So even in that subsection, there's still a lot of us within that group that are fighting for the same thing. And it may just be just women. There may not even specify Black women. Right. So just if women in general are in that pool, we're still fighting for our lives here to even try to get to that point. Right. And so it's like we have to do 10 times more, have to go the extra mile in order to put ourselves on the forefront of the grant owner's mind. And that's a lot.
The other thing I wanted to point out to people while we're talking, so they know, there's a such thing, and I learned this when I used to work for corporate America, and that's matching gift funds. I encourage people, if you want to donate, make sure you ask the company you work for if they would match your donation. So Brittany and them can get more. When you give $100, the company will give $100, and that's something you all accept too, right? Well, Brittany.
Yes, so we do have. We are receiving that. One of our volunteers, she works for a company that does that, and so that's how she sends her funds, and then they match that. So we're able to receive that donation, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for every penny that we receive because it is not easy, and it's even harder to have and frustrating to have to come out your own pocket to serve the community. But it's all about heart posture as well. So if you have a heart for it, you won't mind coming out your pocket. You won't mind taking that sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice, because you're sacrificing your time, treasure, and talents in order for your organization to thrive.
Okay. Brittany, thank you so much for your time. I want you to close out with a couple of things. I want you to tell people how they can reach you, how they can donate, what information. We're going to have all your information on the streaming on here, so they will know how to reach you as well. But I want you to tell them how to reach you, and then I want you to close out with telling them, this in a few seconds, a few minutes, the reason why you're so passionate about doing it.
Okay, so you all can reach Restoring One's Hope of Atlanta. You can reach us or donate to us, and by going to our website, www.restoringOne'sHopeATL.org. That's RestoringOne'sHopeATL.org. I know that's long, but work with us here. You can go to our website. You can look us up on Restoring_Hope_ATL on all social media platforms. And you can reach Let's Talk Nonprofit at Let's Talk Nonprofit ATL on Instagram and Facebook. And what I would say to those that are the reason why I started is because I was once in their place. I was once homeless before. So that's where my passion lies. And because I feel like somebody helped me, I am now obligated. It is my duty to now pay it forward and reach back and help those that are in need as well. So that is the reason why I do this. And that's what I'm saying. It's all about your heart posture and the reason. What's your why? Know your why and the reason why you're going into the nonprofit industry and doing the work that you want to do. Just know your why.
Right. Brittany, thank you so much. I thank you for closing the doors of the church with that nice heartfelt testimony. Brittany, thank you so much. I do appreciate what you do. And you continue to be great, and we're here for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alvin, for this opportunity. Have a great one.
You too. Thank you. Peace out. Make sure to share, follow, and I think I'm supposed to say share, follow,
and subscribe. We just have our
and like
right. Subscribe and like. We just have Let's Talk Nonprofit just dropped the episode with Autism Works today. So please go check it out. Let's Talk Nonprofit ATL on YouTube, and check us out on all other streaming platforms, podcast platforms. Thank you.
You can also find her stuff on Old Fashioned Health Network as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye.